Hi there, this is Lori Ruff. I'm the Community Relations Specialist here at Midwest Energy and Communications. We are here once again with Mr. Terry Ruben Taylor, our CEO. And today we are going to be talking about blackouts.
Good morning, Lori. Thank you.
So Terry, can you tell us exactly what a blackout is?
Yeah, I think blackouts fairly simply, it's when you don't have power, right? So, and today we don't want to talk about the usual causes of blackouts like animals or trees or car accidents. We're not talking about those kind of blackouts where they're unplanned, unexpected. Today we want to talk about blackouts that are due to the grid not having enough generation for the usage that the customers need. And so I want to talk about how we're going to manage those blackouts, what we're going to do if we come to the situation where we need to have blackouts because of the grid.
And what exactly triggers a blackout?
MEC is in two different regions of grid operators, and these are large regional operators that spread across multiple states for multiple power companies. It's not just us we're talking about. Those guys manage the grid with the sole purpose of making it reliable and cost effective. And so they look at the grid, they look at the usage every day, and they make sure that there's enough generation for how much customers are going to use. Well, if there's more usage than there is generation, they have to do something about it. We cannot let the grid, it has to match, and if it doesn't match, really bad things could happen, like a collapse of the grid. So what they do is everything they can to bring in, so they start with the cheapest generators, and then the next level of generators, and then the most expensive generators come online. Once they've done that, we can go to a load management plan where we start shutting off the people that voluntarily allow us to shut them off. After that, it's public appeals. We go out to the public, we say, please shut stuff off. If that's still not enough, if we cannot match, we have to go to blackouts. And so the plan is at MEC is we're going to do rolling blackouts based on whatever the grid operator tells us we need to do. So we don't plan on any longer than 15 minutes at a time, but we have to do whatever the grid operator tells us to make sure the grid doesn't collapse. So we would shut power off to a certain number of people for 15 minutes, and then we pick a different set of people for the next 15 minutes, and those first people would come back on. And then we'd roll through the system, rolling blackouts, we call them. So yeah, you're out of power, so it's a complete blackout, but you would only be off a short period of time until the emergency no longer existed. So until either the load came down or we repaired a generator or whatever it is we could do to get the grid back to being balanced.
Terry, you mentioned MEC will roll through our system, meaning not every customer is going to experience it. Will that affect just homeowners, or could it possibly affect homeowners as well as businesses and industry?
So the blackouts could affect everybody. They really could. And depending on the situation and the region that we're in where we have the issue, it will depend on who's affected. But yeah, we're treating all customers the same. We're not prioritizing commercial customers versus residential. We want everybody's power to be on, and we want, if we have to do it and we're ordered to do it, we want to spread the pain around a little bit too. So we're not really prioritizing one over the other. Everyone has the risk of being off if this situation comes about.
Is there a possibility that this could happen multiple days in a row?
It certainly could. We could have multiple days. We expect that it's going to be late afternoon, sometime between 3 and 8 o'clock at night, and we don't expect it to be like weeks in a row, but it could certainly be more than one day in a row for sure.
Data centers continue to be a hot topic, and the energy that they need in order to operate. Can you share your thoughts on that and the impact that that has on the grid system?
Well, Lori, data centers are definitely being built. They definitely use a lot of electricity. And I'll give you an example. in the MISO on June 23rd, there was only 1% extra capacity, which is somewhere around a gigawatt of power. Well, one data center could use a gigawatt of power. If they were online at that point in time, there wouldn't be any extra capacity. There'd be zero extra. So how would we manage that? Well, there's a lot of power companies now contractually ensuring that, hey, if there is an emergency, the data centers might be the first ones to go off. And a lot of these data centers can go off for that short period of time like we're talking about. So I think the answer is yes, they will create a bigger problem on the grid. However, there's ways to mitigate that problem and ensure that the rest of us have power as much as possible, you know, when these events come up.
Energy consumption continues to rise. And we have heard in the news that the Palisades nuclear plant is coming back online later this year. Will that not generate enough power that would alleviate the risk of blackouts for us in this region?
Yes, Palisades will have a big benefit for the MISO region. They are adding that back in later this year. It's 800 megawatts of capacity that we didn't have before. The issue is that there's other power plants that might shut down, and so we could be back in the same boat. The generation and the load, the capacity issues are still there even with Palisades. Now, it's definitely going to help, but we need more capacity to ensure that we have enough generation for how much the customers need.
Is it possible some of the other power plants that have been shut down or gone offline, can those be restarted?
Yeah, Lori, there's certain ones that they're looking at. Some of them have been decommissioned to the point where they may not be usable, but they may be able to put a different type of generator on that same spot. So let's say it's a coal plant and it got shut down. Will it get restarted as a coal plant? Maybe not, but they might be able to put in a natural gas generator there on the same location. It has land, it has a connection to the grid, it has everything you need right there. Or what some of the things we've been talking about is what's called a small modular nuclear reactor. So those are good spots to put things like that too. If we can get the technology to work and the economics to work, those locations certainly could generate power. It just probably would not be coal in that situation.
If we get to a point that a public appeal is put out to our customers, what are some things that they can do to help shed that load?
So we need the reduction in usage as much as possible. So assuming it's a hot day, you know, we would want you to turn your thermostat up so that your air conditioner wasn't running as much. You know, don't use hot water if you can help that, if you have an electric water heater. You know, don't use your appliances, your ovens, those kind of things. You know, just reduce anything you can to get by. That's what we're going to ask for, and we hope, and they've done this in California and it's worked. People will respond to that, and we're hoping that if we get to that situation, our members will respond to and be able to reduce their usage and be able to avoid the blackout situation that we keep talking about. These are regional problems, and so the other power companies in the area will be doing the same thing. They'll be asking their customers to shut things off and save the grid, you know, at the same time. So it's not just MEC, it's everyone in the region.
Terry, we have touched on a lot of things today. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
Well, in closing, I'd just like to say that we are doing everything possible to avoid a blackout situation. You know, we're working with the generators, we're working with the MISO and the PJM to ensure that we do have the reliability that the customers expect. However, if the situation does arise, we will be called on and we will have to respond. So we want to be transparent. We want people to know that this possibility is out there, and we're working hard to ensure it doesn't happen.
Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you learned something today about blackouts. Until next time.